Welcome to our sharing culture time. Now we're having an approach as an interpreter being a cultural bridge. We chose these two cultures because of the richness in cultures they have. Also, we have some friends that can share with you some real information. So let's talk about Italy and India. Talking about Italy, they have a concept of space and time, and also a phrase, which is be prepared to rub shoulders with Italians, because they feel comfortable being at 31 inches distance, which is 80 centimeters, and it's very close, but they are used to being crowded. If you don't feel the same, they think that you're avoiding them or that you find physical distance distasteful. So stay your ground and explain yourself. Remember that if you are in appointments, they may kiss you on both cheeks when greeting or departing. So you can smile as a way of reciprocating. They have a different concept of time. The punctuality means from 20 to 45 minutes late. So you must adapt because it happens also in a work environment. So get a magazine or a book so you don't get bored.
Cultural factors in communication. Communication pattern. The Italian style is eloquent, wordy, demonstrative, and apparently emotional. Wave hands is important and talk with the hands because if you don't do that, they may think you are distant or wooden. Facial expression and body language make them feel comfortable, so don't forget to be expressive. Behavior at meetings and negotiations. Italians do not strictly follow the agenda. It means they can discuss one issue, then another one, and then go back to another issue that has been discussed before. They will talk loudly, excitedly, and at length, so be patient. Avoid silences longer than 5 seconds because they don't like them. They like to speak. Wordiness versus succinctness. Northern countries like Scandinavian tend to be succinct and explicit. On the contrary, Italians use a lot of words. Negotiators are friendly, talkative, and flexible, but they may get overheated or quarrel among themselves. So just give it a minute and they still continue to be friendly.
Italy, the north and the south. At first glance, Italy may seem like two separate countries. It is important to do research on a country before you land for business negotiations. But what if that one country, Italy for example, has two very exclusive cultures? The different regions still retain their characters. Northern Italians have a tendency to look down on Southerners. In the north, everything about Rome is considered to be northern Italy. It's the industrial workhouse producing over 90% of Italy's exports and is the wealthiest of the two regions. And southern Italy is much more traditional than its northern counterpart. Although it has no land borders, it is heavily influenced by the surrounding sea. Many say that southern Italy is like Greece and Spain, two countries that are also border the Mediterranean Sea. This could be an advantage for a business in southern Italy if you have experience negotiating in Spain and Greece. Some peculiarities are in the north, they are modern, industrial, they have small families, an identification with the company, and they have an affinity with Austrians and Germans. And in the south, they are traditional, agricultural, they have extended families and an identification with Europe and an affinity with Mediterraneans and Africans. And differences Differences that you should pay attention to when doing negotiations. And if you're trying to finalize negotiation in Northern Italy, you probably shouldn't compliment Southern Italy and vice versa. You shouldn't be rude about it, but if your Northern Italy business partner is insulting Southerners, try and change the subject. Northern and Southern Italy both offer excellent opportunities for business.
Okay, so now we are going to talk about how to be friends with Italians. There is a phrase that says, wherever you go, you need to do what you see. So here are some tips that you can try when you go there. Italians like to share about details about everything, like vacations. You can show pictures of your children's or of your family. You can talk about even aspirations that you have. Also, Italians are not like sensible, so you can talk about the country with freedom because they won't be offended. Also, you need to know that Italians are very polite, so you need to be polite more than you normally will, so they can feel comfortable. Even if when they do businesses, they do not feel like they are being honest. You need to know that they are very efficient, and that is because they are very sociable, and also they are very capable of working team. Also, an important thing that you need to know so you don't feel bad about it is that they can borrow money from you, and they can even pay late. However, the good thing about it is that you can also borrow money from them, and they will also be flexible about if you pay late.
So we are going to talk about some facts of motivation about Italians. You have to know that you are going to be human all the times because they are going to confide in you as much as you dare. This includes revealing family details, hopes, aspirations, problems, educations, etc. And this is going to be to reveal much of their private life. So you are going to listen sympathetically. Be prepared because they are going to ask you for personal favors, and they must feel you that you are part of their family or group. So there is an interesting fact of Italians that they do not obey the law. So be prepared and be flexible as possible. They are not insulted easily. You can criticize and joke with them. They are not touchy about nationalism, but don't talk about with them about the French because they don't like French. As always, contact them often because they like do friends. But there are some factors that we are going to avoid, like do not intensive remarks or discuss of Mussolini or fascism or do reference to crime, corruption, or to the mafia.
We have prepared for you a video about Italian, so stay to watch it.
And he would like to share with us. Hello, we are here today with Marco, who has lived abroad for some time in Italy, and he would like to share with us some of his experiences with different countries and cultures. So, hi Marco.
Hi Gavin. Hi everyone.
I'm going to start thanking you for being here with us today.
Very welcome. It's my pleasure.
We are so excited to get to know a lot of what about being part of different lifestyle in another country and another continent. One of our questions to start with is, what was the culture shock you had when you arrived in Italy?
Well, to begin with, starting like whenever you go and arrive to a different country, the first barrier that you encounter definitely is going to be the language barrier. As getting to know that you're going to a different country and you're going to get a different lifestyles and everything, the first step that you need to take into definitely is going to be the language. So even if you know, let's say for at least the basic of the language that you're going to be needing to speak or to communicate with at the country that you're going, that will be the first, like, let's say quite a hard step to take, as it's like the first things that you encountered. Like whenever you write them, first thing that they will come up with is talking to you in their language. And if you obviously don't know or don't have any idea, or if you do have at least a little idea of what you're going to be talking, of course you can jump right into it and you can get very confident and start, even if you know the language, and start to speak on their language. Or let's say the basic, which will be English, will be the universal language that they could understand you. But that will be as for the first barrier or cultural shock that I have encountered.
So I think getting to know different people and start to share with them can be difficult. So with that in mind, what topic would you say is a bad idea to speak about with Italy?
Well, with Italians, it's not that there's like difficult themes or difficult uh, conversations to have with. It's just like to get around with them. Obviously, they have different ways of thinking. Their culture makes them like different on how they will behave, how they communicate with a lot of different person. Even if you're a tourist, they're gonna get you like as a tourist, and they'll see you differently. Not in a despite or despicable way, but they're gonna have you like set up as, okay, he's a tourist, and they will probably understand that the way to communicate is gonna be quite difficult or quite different of what they're used to, and getting to know them is gonna be like as long as they're open-minded and they're acceptable, you will get around with them like easy going, just in a matter of, let's say, a couple of conversations between each other, and you will get to know that they're very friendly, they're very open up, like for them to know you and for you to know them and know their culture. So it's a very interesting way of interact.
There is a lot to share and different ways and point of view to know about how they behave, think, and live on different countries. So, what should a foreigner has to know when visiting Italy?
Well, the first thing that you need to know is that they're willing to like to know also other cultures, as well as you're gonna go to their country to get to know from their culture. So they're gonna be open up with and for that. So there are also people that are gonna be very interested on taking you out, giving you tours, or getting you to know the specific or the most important ideas or the places that they will think that they are like the representative on their side, for you to get the whole idea and get to know basically and mainly what's their country about and what's like their origins from.
And to wrap it up, now in Guatemala, after living 3 years in Italy, I believe you have matched with the people and their cultures. So, what do you miss from Italy?
Well, from Italy, to be honest with you, I miss the food, people. It's very friendly, very open up, and the ways of thinking is very like open. It's very free. It's very free will, very kind of different for what we have here. But I will say it, the people and food. That'll be as least as for me.
Well, thank you, Mark, for sharing with us. It's a pleasure being here with you, and thank you for sharing your experiences.
Very welcome. It's my pleasure, and it's been my pleasure here being with you.
So, bye.
Bye bye.
Now we're going to talk about India.
The Republic of India is the second most populous country in the world after China. It is a country in South Asia and has 28 states. The country's capital state is New Delhi. India has 8 union territories. Its official language is Hindi. It does not have any national language. The nationals or citizens of India are called Indians. The Indian currency is known as the Indian rupee. It has 6 land-bordering countries that are Pakistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. It shares maritime border with Sri Lanka, Thailand, Maldives, and Indonesia. Cultures and values. To greet someone of the same sex, shake their hands gently and say namaste. Public displays of affection are not appropriate, although showing affection is common in families. Avoid the word no. It is better to answer in an evasive way rather than directly refusing. Titles are very important. Always use the person's surname or name. If you don't know their name, use sir or madam. Titles like professor, engineer, or doctor, I greatly appreciate. Yoga originated from India and is still in existence for over 5,000 years. India is the world's oldest, largest, and continuous civilization, the Indus Valley Civilization. Bollywood is the largest movie industry in terms of output, followed by Nollywood, the movie industry of Nigeria. The largest wholesale spice market of Asia is in India. Paoli, New Delhi. Mahatma Gandhi is known as the father of the nation. He died in 1948 and was responsible for the freedom of India along with other freedom fighters. And India is the place of origin of Buddhism and Jainism.
Well, about leadership and status, they accept a hierarchical system for their obligation and duties. In the family business, it's very rarely that the older or the elder son decides the profession or occupation he wants to follow, because he has to carry on the trade of the father. Also, they manage an environment of nepotism, so they can take advantage for themselves. About space and time, well, in movies, pictures, or any visual content we can appreciate, they are called a crowded country, and women are subordinate to men. Well, it's interesting that the reincarnation has a big influence in the opportunities they take, because they have a very present phrase that is maybe in another life. Also, the communication pattern is that many people describe the Indian English as old-fashioned, flowery, and verbose. So the karma has also a great influence on their language.
So, in the listening habits, this is are too easy because the key to Indian attention is to be eloquent, humble, and respectful. They always admire a person who with an extensive vocabulary because they like to be enable a relationship with you because they always like to make a friend of the speaker. The behavior at meeting and negotiations. Indians remain polite while modifications are proposed and repackaged energetically to reach an agreement. They hate turning down any business. As far as negotiation style is concerned, the Indians have few superiors, so they follow points to indicate the pattern of the negotiation. So here are some of these. 1. Do not want to sell at all. 2. This business is the jewel in the crown of all the business that my family controls. 3. We don't need the money. 4. I am not intending to sell, But if I ever did sell, I will sell to you. 5. If I should sell, I have no idea whatsoever how we should evaluate such a successful business. 6. If one should try to estimate a price, it will be by analogy with similar deals that were done in the past. 7. When A sold X to B, that was such a deal. 8. A only sold X to B because he needed the money. 9. Perhaps I would like to sell to you, but I shall never be able to carry my family with me. 10. I have heard your proposed price, and I have stormed out of the room. 11. I have to tell you in all honesty that we have received a very serious bid from a third party. It's higher than yours. 12. I do not expect you to pay more than they are willing to, but I expect you to match the offer. 13. I am willing to give the deal to you and not them because I promise to sell you. 14. I know that this price is not based on the usual multiple of the word of business that has 70% of the market. These are Indians use all their and can often fool you. Understand their needs and objectives. Be humble all the time. Avoid sarcasm and irony. Be patient. Focus on relationship. Indians will accept losses if they mean future gains. Their negotiation concept is win-lose, but they are very flexible.
Manners and taboos. Hinduism is the most practiced religion in all India, so it is not uncommon that Hinduism dominates social behavior. Women show great deference to men. In spite the several laws in their favor, the role of the women in India remains of that of a wife and mother. About clothing, opulent and ostentatious clothes are the norm in parties, celebrations, and meetings. The more opulent and expensive, the better. How to empathize with Indians? First of all, treat them with respect. Remember their history. They tend to complain about the injustices of the colonial period. You should learn about their history. Religion, as I mentioned, Hinduism is the most practiced, but there are also religions like Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam. And of course, learn the basics about Mahatma Gandhi, who was a famous leader. But do not confuse him with Indira or Rajiv Gandhi's family because he is not related to them. Be careful when joking. This is important because they take things seriously. Cope with the Indian bureaucracy that is slow and tedious. As with many other cultures, don't be judgmental. Try to understand their failings and limitations and show sympathy and empathy whenever you can. As in other Asian countries, oral agreements are more important than documents because they recognize and respect the unwritten word.
Okay, so here are some factors that you also need to consider when talking with Indians. So never talk down to them. Show that you are listening to them and also that you are understanding what they are saying. Also, you need to know that the equality for women is becoming important, even if you need to be prepared to think about the idea about arranged marriages with teenagers. The equality for women is becoming important, so you need to know about the position of men and women in the Indian culture. Also, as Lily has talked before, know about the history. So because this is important and that will show that you matter about them. As well, you need to be prepared to learn about their point of views. So because you can learn a lot from them. Also, there are some things that you need to avoid when reading with Indians. Try to avoid to discuss about the caste, the Kashmir, also about the Muslim, and also do not humiliate them. Show always respect and also treat other people with great respect.
We also have prepared for you a video about India. We hope you like it.
Very confident and start.
Namaste. I'm Tanya Gupta, a yoga teacher by profession, and it's been like 10 years that I am into this profession, starting from 2010. So I chose this profession, while I was doing my graduation. So I was a gymnast earlier, then I started doing yoga, and I just felt, that there is something in this discipline in yoga that I want to pursue further. So I started doing it as my studies. I have done post-graduation diploma in yoga science. I have done post-graduation in yoga science. Then I'm a Quality Council certified yoga teacher level 2 by Government of India. Plus, it's been 6+ years of experience, and recently I have served Indian Embassy in Guatemala for more than 2.5 years, and it was a phenomenal experience. Guatemala is just so beautiful. Basically, that was the very first country after India I have visited, and I just loved Guatemala. And what else? Yeah, so it's like I'm into yoga. Like I just like helping people, spreading happiness, and so that they can understand. So yoga is not only moving the hands up and down, it's just more than that. It is something which helps you to know yourself. So yoga is basically a union of individual and universal consciousness. So yeah, yoga is vast. Anyway, so before I proceed, I would like to thank Elisa a lot that she has shown her trust in me to help her out. So there are a few questions which I really want to answer. First is that what I like most about my country, about India. I just love everything about India. Okay, I love everything about India. But the most I like is the culture, the festivals, and the Indian attire, like putting the bindi, getting dressed in an Indian sari. Yeah, this is and the celebrations and the festivals I love about India. Second, I want to that, like, if anyone comes to India, So what is the topic which they should not talk? Well, we Indians are good, okay? We talk to everyone. But still, if I would like to say that a bad idea to speak with Indians is about the religion. Because in India we have so many religions and we respect each and every religion. So yes, if you don't talk about the religion, it would be good. Then what should a foreigner know when visiting India? Maybe few words of Hindi like namaste and how to say how are you in Hindi, right? So as in Guatemala, not everybody speaks English. Same like in India, not everybody speaks English. Like 70% of population still understands and speaks English, but we like to talk about our native language. So yes, and then what was the cultural shock I had when I arrived Guatemala? Not really anything, because Guatemala is beautiful, but yes, the food culture, because in India most of us are vegetarian, okay? We are vegetarian, we don't eat animals. So that was a little cultural shock for me, that people only eat non-vegetarian food there. But rest, I like everything about Guatemala. It's just beautiful. Is there something common in India and Guatemala? Yes, there are few things common in India and Guatemala. One thing is the people, the calmness which people have. Like they talk to everyone, they respect everyone, they help everyone. So in Guatemala, I feel like at home. Okay, so now it is my second home. So yeah, these are and few things. Yes, the culture also, the bright colors which Guatemalans wear, their native dress, I really like. That is also something common. Yes. So I love Guatemala and I love India. Thank you. Namaste.
So we are continue with our conclusions. And first we have that an interpreter actually transmits meanings, thoughts from another culture to the target language culture. In the speech, they must take into account the cultural characteristics that can use misunderstandings or even conflicts, and know how to interpret the different issues that are typically characteristics from each country.
Okay, so another thing that you need to consider is that if you want to impress your client, or if you want to give an extra to your client, you need to do more than the invisible part of the interpreter. And you need to know about the culture for the client that they are doing business with. You can advise them how to treat, how to talk with them, and what is better to avoid.
Okay, knowing the culture of the target country allows the interpreter to know and to understand their interlocutors. So a language not only encompasses words, but also the ways of thinking and behavior of its. For the interpreter, it is necessary to know all these elements in order to achieve effective communication in all possible ways.
And as a conclusion, despite the cultural shock, impartiality, fidelity, and integrity are important characteristics for the interpreter as a cultural mediator.
And last but not least, remember that we are pretty sure that India and Italy are not the only countries who have a culture. So we have to learn every day through the social media. Now the internet is growing and offering now resources that we can share with other people, different countries, different cultures. So let's never stop learning about cultures, because culture is language, language is culture, and we are the bridge.